What's up with you?
This drawing isn't working out.
Okay, well maybe try taking a breather and...
I hate this!
Let's just try calming down. Hey yappers, it's Bree, and I've got another interesting topic I've been wanting to discuss, and it's kind of a mix of the conclusions of a lot of the videos I've made mashed into one. A video that speaks generally, and is away from the drama topics that I usually cover that leads to these conclusions. In other words, an uplifting video aside from the art community negativity. But yeah, enough of this yapping, to the video topics yapping, but first, the super thank yous. KFC Chicken, Opalobot, and Kazuna Endy. As usual, I'm sorry if I pronounce any names wrong, and if you aren't here, you'll be in the next one. I want to start off by saying, when I say try not to have a negative mindset, I don't mean stuff like, oh, don't draw vent art, or, oh, don't be upset and draw. Vent art and drawing when upset is good. Art therapy is a form of therapy that many use and is actually recommended a lot, and I actually recommend it. This video is more on the unhealthy mindsets that many artists hold when they're creating. I'll be going over self-standards, making mistakes, quote-unquote bad art, and what to do when your art just doesn't seem to be working out. Being upset or frustrating yourself when it comes to what you create is inevitable. You won't love every piece, not everything will go your way, but that's okay. It's normal to feel that way, and it's not just you who feels that way. Even artists you look up to have those days. Maybe they just don't post it. I mean, I certainly have those days. I've posted some pieces I wasn't proud of, and maybe you didn't notice because my standards are different than yours when it comes to my art. And it's like that with everyone. Like a piece you may hate, people might not notice the mistakes you've made, mainly because we as artists first off know our skill, thus knowing when we aren't meeting our own usual standards. And secondly, sometimes we're just too hard on ourselves. Maybe you flipped a canvas and saw the absolute monstrosity that you created. Maybe you stared at it too long and now you're comparing the anatomy to tree limbs. We tend to notice the small things in our works, and it's good for improvement, but it can also turn to a bad thing if we look at it the wrong way. I mean, there are many times I stare at a finished piece on my iPad, hate it, and then instantly delete it, leaving the person next to me to freak out being like, why would you do that? It was so good. But to me, it just wasn't. And it's simply a glass half full or glass half empty case. It can be a view into how you can improve in the future, or you could stare at it and view yourself as the worst artist in the entire world. I think we forget our work doesn't have to be perfect. We are human and we are imperfect. It's okay if you don't love every piece you make, but try to view the glass as half full. We put so much stress on ourselves when, especially for many, it's just a hobby. Stop pushing yourself so much because you'll end up draining yourself. Even if you're a working artist, remember to take a minute to remind yourself, let me take a deep breath and cool down. But I think a huge problem that leads to this is comparison. Artists compare themselves to others way too much. And the thing is, we don't know anything about the people we compare ourselves to. We don't know their resources, maybe they've taken classes. Sometimes we don't even know their age. Social media isn't always what it seems, so comparing yourself to others too much is bad. Like, it's good to have goals and healthy comparison. For example, there might be a style you want to achieve, so you compare your work to a piece that has the goal that you want to achieve, and then learn from it. But to take a negative approach and constantly compare your skills to others really does more harm than good. I've said this many times on my channel, but instead of jealousy and envy, use that person's success and what you want to achieve, and turn it into a motivation of, it's possible. They did it, and I can too. Maybe ask for tips from those that have already achieved the goal that you want. Instead of viewing other artists as competition, use them like a team where we can exchange tips and what works for us and doesn't work for us. Another thing to add is like, okay, maybe you're working towards a goal, or maybe you're just drawing generally and you make a mistake. Maybe a mistake that cannot be erased. Instead of getting mad and worked up, pause. Try to shift your perspective. Maybe that hand you found extremely wonky could be covered. Maybe glue or tape something over it, make a collage, paint over it. There's no true irreversible mistakes in art because with a little creativity, it can be fixed. Don't trash it immediately, and hey, if you decide to, that's okay too. There are many opportunities in the future to try again or create something entirely new. Because we forget, our quote-unquote bad art is actually a good thing. It's something everyone has, it's not a unique experience, and it actually can mark our progress. Instead of looking at a piece with hatred, think about how in the future, you look at that piece and see how much you've improved. Maybe you might even redraw in the future and feel proud. I mean, having what we deem as bad pieces also helps us value the good ones even more. And having a negative mindset can also just affect how you work. Have you ever had a moment where you just had to step away to properly complete a task? Same thing can happen in art. If you let your negative thoughts get to your head in your process, it can actually make you mess up more. It'll get to your head, you'll put too much thought in messing up, and then you just end up messing up. Or something that you wouldn't really see as a big mistake before seems even bigger now, just because of your mood. You could cloud your judgment and scrap a really cool piece just because you're angry. Because in your anger, you expect yourself to be perfect and your standards could raise. That's why what I recommend most is take a breather. Step away from that piece, get a snack, go on a walk, listen to music, maybe even work on a different piece, do whatever you need to do to cool down. And this goes for all things. Like, I'll give a non-art related example to show how it can apply to literally anything. Me personally, I homeschooled. So in school when I would get heated doing math because math is absolute booty, sorry, instead of continuing on, I would stop. I would take a 5 to 10 minute break and grab a snack. By that time, my brain was well fed, and I was calm enough to pay better attention rather than just foggily hearing what the lesson has to say through my anger. And not so surprisingly, I got through my assignments and quizzes much better that way. And sure, this is all easier said than done, but in times of this sort of anger, remind yourself that you're human. Mistakes are inevitable. Things won't always go as planned, and that's okay. Maybe you feel pressure on yourself, but what I've learned is to try and remember that mistakes are important to grow. It's unrealistic to expect every artwork to go perfectly. Positivity can be hard, and I often have to remind myself this stuff too. So don't take this video as, well, everything goes great for me, so you guys just need to be positive because it's so easy. No. It's something I deeply struggle with, actually, and especially when I have a deadline. But I've learned to just pause and think before I make the situation worse. And sometimes I forget. But this video is made to make that reminder for artists who might need to hear this right now, or decide to save it for later when they do need it. Remember that your art is beautiful and mistakes are what makes us human. But that's all for today. I hope this video was helpful, even if it's just a little bit. But if you stuck through, here are the scrumptious brush codes. Thank you all for the support, and if you liked the video, consider liking and possibly subscribing if you haven't. But as usual, remember to love your art, love others, and love yourselves. Bye-bye!